So good day everyone. We are from group 3 of ACA4 and we're going to do a reaction video from the last group, which is group 6 on chapter 12 and 13. So let's start with Hakim.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir, and fellow blockmates. For our my personal learnings with the last group's discussion on chapter 12 and 13 is how important it is to be spontaneous when it comes to business. Like you always have to have new ideas or think of new ways to fit in the trend because trends always come and go. And parehas sa sa chapter 12 katong nag-discuss sila about types of innovation and katong corporate entrepreneurship. Katong sa innovation, katong product innovation and process innovation, it shows that companies don't kanang dili sila stay sa murag isa ka process bitaw or like isa ka product bitaw kay as time goes by kay try sila develop og it's either new products or new processes. Katong sa process innovation katong is product innovation kay parehas sa basic example siguro kay ang Apple kay from kanang hard nga home button to more mikalitrag gi-remove nilang home button ingan na sa process innovation na sad kay like how Jollibee went from a centralized corporation to a decentralized one. And then we also learned about corporate entrepreneurship katong creating value or creating more value on existing murag processes. And then on chapter 13, I think it's all about case analysis and discuss nila on sa ka-important ang case analysis. I think case analysis are important kay it helps us as businessmen and businesswomen to identify problems bitaw. And di rasa ato ang like own company. Pwede man sad ta mag case analysis pod sa other companies aron like if ever na sila na encounter na problem and then we maka-find tag solution. So in case nakita na sad ang maka-face ato nga problem na natay we are prepared daan. That's all for my learnings.
So, good evening. I am Rico Rosaranes, and I have learned that consumers play a vital role in the nation's economic system. So, the business needs to step up its game to meet the customer's demand. And as we know, the demand often changes because of what we call trend nowadays. And so, the business needs to be innovative enough so they will not be left behind. Kaya, di ba, as we all know, daghan kaayo ang industries here in the Philippines and then grabe gid kayo ang competition like dili siya kay kung dili ka kabalo mo murag kabalo mo pa how will you differentiate your company like murag mo what do you call that ipakita na mas better ka makalimtan kanila. So that's why innovation is said to be the lifeblood of a company because without it, the business won't survive in the industry. So a prominent example here is the Zara and Forever 21. That's what we discussed last month because Zara remains at the top in the fast fashion industry while Forever 21 filed for bankruptcy last 2019. So that's because Zara knew how to adapt to changes and the give its customer the demands that they want while Forever 21 failed to innovate which was their failure. So in this chapter, I learned that in a rapidly changing business environment, corporate entrepreneurship is the key to achievement because it supports the employees. So before we talk about the importance of employees and how we should treat them, so they remain loyal to the company. And as we all know, na innovation tends to be led by employees rather than implemented by management. So I learned that a company should have this because it ensures a consistent stream of innovation in the products, leading to future revenues and growth for the organization. It increases productivity and employee morale because if you the boss listens to me, your employee, I'll be very pleased to help and come up with the new ideas and identify opportunities and trends in the markets. We can also correlate this to the next chapter, which is analyzing strategic management cases. Kaya diba, employees will be placed in an actual situation and challenge them to figure out what to do. So by learning this, the company will have a competitive edge over their rivals because they have the information that they needed to minimize problems and avoid risk. That would be all. Thank you.
So just like what Rika said, no, how important innovation is. So on chapter 12 also, I've got to realize and ponder how innovation is very important, especially in the business world. Kaya diba, ang trend, ang mga product na patok kaayo karon, wala dyan kasiguraduhan nga mo patok pa siya many years from now. We all know that what innovation is already means. Pero what struck me sa ilang report is that product innovation is not the only type of innovation, but there is also what we call the process innovation. I love how the group gave concrete example to it, katong Apple or Google. So it helped me to understand more that when we talk about product innovation, it is all about reinventing, upgrading, or improving your own product. Whereas when we talk about process innovation, it focuses more on improving the organizational process, like how Google implemented the 20% time rule that empowers their employees to be creative and innovative. So the very sole reason nga no ga-innovate jud ang company, like katong giingon ni Sir sa synchronous session, it's because of the competition. If ever you let yourself to stay your product as it is, like what happened to Nokia, chances are maleft behind jud ka, and that could possibly lead to the downfall of the business. So katong like example ni Sir nga Apple ug Samsung, di ba kanang pag gani nag-isa ka tuig mag-release ta og new model ang Samsung, tapos dili pa magpapildi ang Apple, mag-release pud sila og kuan og lahi na pud nga model. So that's how intense the innovation when it comes to technology industry gyud. If ever nga like magpa-behind ka sa ingana ka competent ang imong mga competitors, then you could possibly be left out. So for chapter 13 naman, I've got to learn the 8 steps on doing case analysis ug how important pud niya siya. It helps us to go beyond the surface knowledge about the state of a certain company. Kay di ba, sometimes baka ingon lang ta na pagtanaw na to sa gawas ng company kay they're still working well, na pay mga customers, na pa sila yung mga nindot sa mga products. Pero if we dug deeper, like looking into their financial statements, it turns out niya nagkalisod na day sila. So when we use or when we do case analysis, we use strategic tools like 5 forces or SWOT para ma-evaluate yun natong sakto ang state sa firm. So we'll be able also to list the company's strengths and weaknesses, and from that, mag-create din taong mga possible solutions, and also weigh the pros and cons on every solutions. So following case analysis process helps us not to immediately jump into the conclusion, but helps us to critically take each step to effectively formulate a solution. That's all. Thank you.
Hello. Regarding case analysis, sorry. Regarding chapter 12 on innovation, what I learned is that there are two types of innovation, which is product innovation and process innovation. I wholeheartedly agree that innovation is one very good key aspect when it comes to the competitive market of a company. Each company should have their critical edge against their competitors, kay para dili sila ma shorthanded, they don't get the short end of the stick. Next, for the chapter 13, I learned that critical case analysis is a very useful tool when it comes to learning about the complex strategic management concepts, from environmental analysis to the processes of decision making. It is also very important to note that the learnings that I have realized during the reporting is that not only can we use case analysis for the future, but we can also use this to assess our current situations. If maybe one of us siguro maghimo og business and they want to make the most out of their environment and really make their business booming, I do believe that case analysis is the most effective way of knowing the pros and cons of a place. No? Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So for chapter 12 highlighted the ways on how firms are able to remain its competitive edge in today's market and how firms find new avenues for their business to grow and develop. I also agree that business is spontaneous and trends do come and go. And with this, I was struck that as business owners, we are pressured and pushed forward to innovate, to explore, and make use of the new trends and technologies. However, if we stay stoic or stagnant, same with what happened to Nokia, we will be left behind and it will be hard for us to catch up. And also, with us solely placing our focus towards innovation, somewhat the changes brought by the offerings may be too far-fetched to some consumers. So, lisod po sa ilahang part. And this causes the organization to experience the threats and risk of declination. However, this risk may be combated through fostering corporate entrepreneurship, thinking beyond the box, and analyzing different approaches like decision making, practices, operations na makahelp sa company to yield better results. And in analyzing, a company may make use of the case analysis, which was also discussed in chapter 13, as case analysis uncovers the complexity of the working industries, and firms may be able to determine more concrete and feasible ways to address issues and threats, then oversee their potential for improvement to help the venture attain success in the next few years of operations, and also to see if they are improving ba or deteriorating. Then case analysis does not just help to boost internal factors of a business, but also guide the venture to be more inclusive sa industry where they fall under. I think that's all for me.
Good evening. In chapter 12, I learned how important managing your innovation in a company is, just like how Apple continually develops its products by creating new designs, new software or specs in order for them to remain a competitive threat to others. Just like what Hakim and Ann said, a company should not be afraid of changes happening in the market, as most of the time the trends, economic growth, and what people consider as their needs and wants changes all the time. So we should manage your innovation by making minor changes in your product and finding new areas for growth and revenue, because innovation is continual and a company must do innovation to not fall behind on its competitor. Just like what happened with BlackBerry, that because they didn't adapt their innovations to the changes in the mobile phone industry, it leads to their bankruptcy. Next is chapter 13, analyzing strategic management cases. So case analysis helps us to analyze and answer the questions that allow us to act when certain scenarios or crises happen in our company. Because if ever that happens, we can become as we already know what to do and how should we solve the problem. If you're a manager of a branch, you should not rely on the textbook knowledge alone, but instead you base it upon also your personal experiences. We should mainly rely on our analytical skill to understand the problem, and we should also learn how to integrate our proposed solutions into reality, because there is a purpose of even devising a solution if you can't implement it effectively. Then your efforts will just be invalidated. That would be all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your insights. So, once again, this is Group 3 of ACA4, and have a good day, everyone.